When I was beginning my data activation journey, I had gone through the trouble of ensuring that I had really great quality data that I was going to use to test out how I can build a PCA model from my own data. Now, when I was getting started and I built my first PCA model, I had my little pipeline to Z-scale the data and then visualize it using PCA, but the data just looked weird. The model didn't look right and I couldn't even quite articulate what was wrong with it. But maybe there were too many data points. Now in this video, I want to demonstrate something that had gone wrong many years ago when I was getting started and that you might encounter, particularly as you start building your first chemometrics and machine learning models. Now, ultimately, this comes down to how we as humans prefer to see the data using a spreadsheet editor like Excel and how machine learning models prefer to see the data, a long data set for us and a wide data set for these machine learning models. So let me demonstrate what that looks like and how we can use Python to go back and forth between a long data table and a wide data table. So here we are as we get started with our data set, and I'm going to create that long data table. And as the name suggests, the data table will go down the spreadsheet or down the page with each row representing a measurement. And so we have sample S01 at a particular wavelength and the absorbance value there. We have that same sample again at a different wavelength with the corresponding measurement. And you can see how we are representing each sample measurement as its own row. We then move to the next sample, and this long data table could be quite lengthy if you're doing something like GCMS or LCMS, where there are many more variables. Even if you have a single sample, that chromatogram or that spectrum can be represented by thousands of data points. Now, in some cases, this is great for visualization. We can separate this out. We can do things with plotting that are easier in this long data table. But most machine learning models prefer the data table to be wide. And as I'm illustrating here, the model needs each sample as one row and each wavelength as a feature column. And this is not quite the case when you have a long data table. So now let me show you how we can go from a long data table to a wide data table. To do that, we can simply use the pivot method. So I have my long data table called long, and I'm going to pass in the pivot method. And I want to illustrate how we're going to use the keywords. So for index, we're going to use the sample ID that is going to assign this column as the new index in our wide data table. We then have columns, which as you can see here, would become the wavelengths. And that was the rows here. So it's actually going to take the unique values in this column here and make them the column argument. And then lastly would be the absorbance values, which will come from this column here. And so we have all the same data represented, but in this case, we are creating a tidier data table. The thing to be careful of when you look at this sometimes is that pivot or pivot table will sometimes aggregate the data and will start creating averages. So just be careful as you consider the manipulation of this data. If you don't mind, you can pass it an argument directly, but sometimes that can happen as you're pivoting from long to wide especially. Now, we can get that data back out by using the melt method. And to do that, we're going to just start off by first resetting our index. So that's going to reset our sample ID. So it's an actual column instead of the index value. And then we're going to set our ID variable as the sample ID, the variable name as wavelength, and the value name as absorbance AU. And when we do that, you can see we are recreating that original data table. And if I comment out this head there, you see we have our full data table. It's structured slightly differently because it is now reoriented from the wide set, but we could easily sort this and recreate our original table. And so the benefit of this, again, is because our machine learning models prefer our data to be represented like this, where each row is the sample measurement. And lastly, just to tidy this up, we can pass these data tables into NumPy in order to create a data array. This will remove all the extra information. It's not necessary for most of the scikit-learn library, but there are other libraries that explicitly want an array, which you can create using the toNumPy method. And so what this will look like now is if we look at X, you see we just get this array, whereas before we had a data table with a column header and index values and things like that. It's a bit less important again for most of the modern libraries, but there are some cases where this is very important. And so this is just great to keep in mind. And as you can see here, there's other things to keep in mind, some common mistakes, and these are going to be important tools as you start building machine learning models in section 3 in our GitHub repository. If you want to see those notebooks, you can just go to the Chris P33 Python for Analytical Chemists, go to Notebooks, Scientific Computing, and this was Notebook 2.8, Reshaping for Data Analysis. And as you can see, the next step, we're going to get more into signal processing, and this is what will help take us into building sachimetric models. In any case, if you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.